W6MQI, WA7YBS. You got a strong signal in here to Dayton Valley today, Dave. How's the copy down there? W6MQI, WA7YBS.
W6JR1. Well, I don't know if that was a double, a triple, or what, but I copied you in there, Henry. Can't say that it was you with the strong signal, but I think it was. And I think I maybe at the end there heard Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Well, let's kick in W7MS. Good morning.
Okay. Yeah, I heard Jerry too. So good morning to Dave. In the number 1 spot, W6MQI. Number 2 spot's Jerry. Good morning, Jerry, W6JRY. And good morning, Mike, W7MS in the number 3 spot. Let's see if there's anybody else. Number 4 is open. If you want to check in Vintage Military Radio Net.
6F, numero quattro.
Okay, number 4 spot's Ron and U6F. Good morning, Ron. And in the number 5 spot is Steve, W6SSP. Good morning, Steve. Look, you guys got good signals. In fact, everybody does so far today. Number 6 is open. If you want to check into the Vintage Military Radio Net, be number 6. Go ahead now. Well, Chuck, your audio sounds awful. Sounds like you're using a really bad carbon microphone. So, what's going on there? But make a transmission. Let's see if it clears up. Go ahead there, Chuck.
Okay, Henry. Well, this is the same microphone everybody said was real great to me. I don't know. I did flip on the amp though. I was barefoot when I checked in. It was only like 20 watts. I don't know, is this any better?
Yeah, it's an improvement. So that's good. And good morning to you. You're number 6. Number 7's open. Vintage Military Radio Net. If you want to check in, be number 7. Go ahead now. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started here. This is Vintage Military Radio Net, Nevada style. And if, everybody kind of knows the drill. We assign numbers as stations check in. It eases the handoff, makes it easier to keep things flowing. And, military gear isn't a prerequisite. It's subject to conversation usually, but it's not a prerequisite. Check in with what you got. So let me run down the list, and then we'll get started. Number 1 is Dave, W6MQI. Number 2 is Jerry, W6JRY. Number 3 is Mike, W7MS. Number 4 is Ron, NU6F. Number 5 is Steve, W6SSP. And number 6 is Chuck, K0DWC. I'm running the W6MIT Big Rig this morning. And, okay. I had to do a little bit of checking there. Things looked a little different, but I think they're okay now. But anyway, we're running the Big Rig, 300 watts of carrier power. Antenna is a 130-foot center-fed dipole, and the receiver is the Raycal RA6117. Military connection is the T368 exciter that's in the Big Rig. So with that, let's turn it and get started here. So let me check real quick and make sure there isn't a number 7 out there. Number 7 is open. If you want to check in, do it now. Well, there's Vern. Good morning, Vern. You're number 7, K6VXY. So with that, let's go ahead and get it up there to Dave. W6MQI, Vintage Military Radio Net. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, WA7YBS, W6MQI. You might want to pencil in Bill, too. I heard him earlier, although he hasn't tried to check in, but I did hear him. All right, good morning, everybody. Yes, signals are good this morning, Henry, and you're running at about 30 over here on the 7584. And it sounded like you were doubling with Jerry, but it sounded like Jerry was pretty loud, too. But everybody else has sounded good as well. Let's see, we're on the ART-13 with a D104, listening on a 75A4 receiver. And weather today is, we had rain earlier, it's not raining now. I think it's supposed to start clearing out of here. And temperature is about 50 degrees. As Rod mentioned earlier when I was talking with him, yep, we had a little tease of spring last week. It was really nice. Now we're back at it. So that's the little rundown here. Let's see, over to Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Yes, okay, W6MQI in a group, W6JRY. Good morning to everybody. And so far, really good signals from everybody. Dan's really quiet too, although it's raining right now. That started earlier this evening, and I was pretty busy yesterday trying to keep up with getting some piles of pine needles, brush, and so on burned down around here. Trying to hurry up with the yard work before the rain comes, so we just barely got part of it done there. Anyway, we're on the ART-13 here, the Navy ART-13, and RBM4 receiver. Just check this stuff out, see if it still works. It's been on for a while, various things going on. And antenna's the same, Delta Loop antenna, which seems to still be up and working. Had various antenna problems around here, but always need maintenance on that type of thing. So anyway, put it over there to Mike, and everybody's coming in really good. This morning. W7MS, W6JRY.
KB0W, South Lake Tahoe.
Let me break in there, Mike, and pick up Frank there, KB0W. And Frank, good morning to you. We're going to put you in the number 9 spot. You'll be after N6BCT, who is number 8. So good morning to you, Frank. You're coming in here fine. So back to Mike, W7MS. Go ahead.
Well, thanks, Henry, and good morning to Frank. Always a pleasure to give KB0W the right of way here at any time, whether it's on the highway or on the amateur radio band. So this is W7MS, Mike in Reno. Thank you, Henry, for running the show, and good morning, Dave. Great to hear Jerry. It's been a long time, and you're sounding like Jerry, so that's fantastic, and I'm glad everything is working properly hardware-wise on your end. Good morning, Ron. Let's see if Ron has to talk about NDBs and St. Elmo's fire this morning. We'll be waiting. And also, Steve, good morning. Chuck sounded fine on whatever you did on round 2 of the microphone there. And good morning to Vern and possibly Bill, who's out there somewhere.
I think Mike blew a fuse. Let's go over to Ron, NU6F, and then we'll see if we can pick Mike up afterwards. So, NU6F, go ahead.
Okay, let's see if I blow a fuse or not. No, so far we're okay. Well, I didn't see the lights blink here, so it couldn't have been too bad. I'm sure Mike can get it. Patch back together. Good morning there again, Dave. And good to hear you on the air, Jerry. I can smell a little bit of smoke left over from your burn pile, but other than that, sounds good. And Steve, Chuck, Vern, I don't think you had the amp on. You were down there, but we could hear you. I'm not sure if the squirrels were chewing on the amplifier or not. And Frank, South Lake Tahoe, on the T3 this morning, 300 watts, and using the 170-foot inverted L, and listening on the R398 D104 mic. So same old, same old. I don't have the dynamotor running from the BC375. Don't have the motor generator set for the TDE running. So it's really quiet this morning in the shack. And quiet on the band. Noise level's way down. Okay, with that, take it away, Steve. W6SSP and U6F.
Let me break in there, Chuck, and see if Mike is back. W7MS, are you transmittable? We'll pick Mike up later. Go ahead, Chuck. K0DWC WA7YBS.
WA7YBS, K0DWC. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know what happened, Mike. Must have been something over key. But anyway, well, good morning to you, Henry. Gary, welcome back. Sound really, really good. You're doing okay, and I hope sounds fine. And glad to have you back. Always. Well, I'll say good morning to Mike. This is working. Good morning to Mike, and good morning to Bob, and Steve, Ron, Bill, and Frank. Welcome back, Frank. H0W. That was great. You're sounding good over here this morning from Dave Valley. So far, everybody's sounding really good. I hope Mike can get his grid back up again. We're on the PCS13 this morning with the SB200 amp. And I guess we're running about 120 watts. And I've got a Shure Brothers 250 hand microphone with a real organ element, not a brain fade there, fellas. But anyway, I hope Vern's all tuned up, so I'll send it over to Vern. K6DXY MGK0 DW6. Good, Vern.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it should be all set. Yeah, it looks like everything's fine. I just have to get the linear going. It's K6BXY. And I'll do my good mornings here. Good morning to Henry. Good morning to Dave. Good morning to Jerry. Good morning to Mike. Good morning, excuse me, to me. No, to Ron. Good morning. No squirrels here, Ron. Good morning to Steve. And good morning to Chuck. Good morning to Bill. I'll turn it over to Soon and to Frank. It's K6BXY running the standard ICOM stuff.
did a lot of work this week. I won't go into all of it, but I have a lot of stuff that will be arriving this week, which is going to be a heat kit, VTVM, some tubes, bunch of tubes, and also the probe for the ICOM thing, and then I've got a generator that generates AM coming. So I got a bunch of, I'll have to figure it out, but I think it's going to be neat. And good morning to everybody, and I'll make it quick, this one, but I'm still working on the Marauder, but it has to wait for the new equipment for more testing. So let's see, N6BCT, if you can hear me, I think you can. This is K6VXY in the morning.
N6BCT, are you out there, Bill? Make a transmission if you are.
Well, I thought I heard him earlier.
Well, nothing heard in Reno, but maybe you can hear me.
Well, let's have Mike make a transmission, and why don't you turn it over to Frank then, Mike? W7MS, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Henry, and I can't wait for possibly my the notation on YouTube later today. W7MS, thanks for the interrupting the queue. Good morning to one and all, but moved over to the old reliable, on year 31 in my shacks, the ART13, and listening on the R391. Well, just a clarification, I had my first on-air failure with the National NC600. It's a known issue, and it's arcing on modulation peaks from the braided copper leads going up to the plate of the RK38s. Thought I had remedied that by rotating the braid lengthwise parallel to the frame of the tuning capacitor to eliminate that sharp edge. But guess what? Plan B was to add some Teflon tubing to that braided copper, and that's what we're going to have to do. So, a known problem, but a big zap blows the plate fuse, and oh my gosh, if this was television, I'd be red in the face. But back to you, Henry, W7MS.
Okay, very. Foot slipped off the transmit switch there. Okay, well, very good. So, well, not very good, but it's a known problem, so solution number 2 or 3. And the Utah UAT1, that old 1937 transmitter that I have, does the same thing, arcs on voice peaks. And you look at the design of it, it's like, how could it not arc on voice peaks? But anyway, let's just shoot her over to Frank. KB0W, make a transmission there, Frank, and turn it back to me, WA7YBS. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. KB0W in South Lake Tahoe. And let's see, what are we doing here? We're doing, I think we're okay. I'm not sure if my audio sounds all right. It's been a long time since I've had the rig running here. It's Frank in South Lake Tahoe. Mike, I hope I didn't jinx your transmission there by checking in before you. Hopefully not. I didn't do it intentionally, let's put it that way. We're running the same old stuff here, the Johnson 500. It says we're putting out about, well, we're not putting out very much, so I don't have it tuned up properly. Okay, that's better. Okay, now I had it on tune. All right, we're not very smart here, but we're getting smarter. And listening on the 75A4, and have the 80-meter dipole with a tuner and the dipole's at 65 feet, and the microphone's at D104.
got about an inch of snow up here, just enough to make it miserable. We've had a very, very, very dry winter so far. Skiing's been terrible. If it doesn't start snowing big time, we're going to have fire season start probably in late March. So it's really dreadful up here. We really need the water, need the moisture really bad. But other than that, it's been life in paradise. Good morning to everybody. Mike, Steve, Chuck, Vern, I guess Bill's out there, and Henry, you're sounding very, very loud. Very, very loud signal here. I didn't check, it's very loud. Anyways, back to you. Thank you much for the admittance here. Appreciate being part of the crowd. Try to check in more often. I've had some medical issues, so it's been a while since I've been on. Over to you, W7YBS KB0W.
Okay, Frank. Sounds good. And sorry to hear about the medical issues, but I'll tell you, when you went out of the tune mode into the transmit mode, big improvement. Yeah, you jumped up to way over S9. Don't have a carrier, don't have an S meter on the Ray Cal. It's a carrier level meter, and it does have an S meter function, but it's very exaggerated. That's kind of a British thing, even though this receiver was made in Silver Spring, Maryland. But at any rate, yeah, check in more often. And let's see if there's anybody else out there. Number 10 is open, Vintage Military Net, first round. And you can get in on the tail end of the first round if you check in now. Go ahead. Okay. Nothing heard. Well, all right. Good signals from everybody. Everybody's running quite strong. Yeah, that's too bad there, Mike, about the arcing. I know what you mean, but that what I was talking about on that old Utah transmitter is they actually run the modulator through a phone jack, and so you're sitting there bouncing around on it's about 600 volts, and then you're modulating that and stuff. And how could you not expect that to arc? And that's what it does. It arcs inside the phone jack, which is how you route the modulator to the PA. So I don't know what to do on that, because I would like to keep that one all original. But what are you going to do? Not run it. That's what I do. And let's see what else. Good morning to Jerry. Excellent signal in here, Jerry. Delta Loop is doing fine. And Dave's great signal, and good signal from Ron. Steve is also doing well on the Collins gear. Chuck, you're okay, and it's just your audio. It's just I've heard carbon mics sound better, so I don't know. It's okay, but I mean, Vern, good signal in here. And yeah, Bill, unknown. I haven't heard Bill yet. Okay, I'm running the W6MIT homebrew. John built this in 1998, and it's a 4-250A, 2,000 volts on the plate, 200 milliamps of plate current, and so it's putting out right at about 300 watts. And it's a T368 exciter, and the modulator tubes are 572Bs. And so anyway, the antenna is, I would have been on the other antenna, the two-element collinear array, but I think I got a cracked feed line. It's 106 feet of feed line from where the antenna is to the shack, and it whips around in the wind. It's been up there for over a year. And I kind of think the feed lines had it. It seems to be intermittent. So we're out here in the shop, It was 41 degrees this morning, so the reservoir is not even working hard at all. And it's nice and comfortable here. Let's go ahead and get round 2 started. Check one more time, make sure there's nobody else who wants to get in here. Vintage Military Radio Net. Number 10 is open. If you want to check in, do it now. Okay, up to Dave. W6MQI, WA7YBS.
WA7YBS, W6MQI. Well, Henry, I don't know. Maybe I'm just hearing things. I could have sworn I heard Bill in there one other time, but I give up. Well, I had to step out right after Jerry, so I didn't get a really chance to listen to everybody. I did hear Frank, and I concur with Henry when you came out of tune. Definitely made a difference down here. You know, it's still not real strong, but it definitely made a difference. Well, I don't know. I'm still working on my PRC 174 clone. I've been working on the front panel, doing all the wiring and stuff. I was doing some earlier this morning before I had my coffee, and I hooked up one of the switches backwards. I think it'll still work the way it is, but I think I'm going to pull the wires and switch it around. But other than that, radio-wise, that's all I've been working on here. Henry, that MIT rig sounds really good, as usual. Always has, anyway. And yeah, those old rigs with the arcing, yeah, what were they thinking? Did they not have high-voltage wire back then? To use braid, that's interesting. I've never seen one up in person, but so I'm not quite sure about the configuration, but man, what were they thinking? Yeah, not much else here. Everybody's signals are good, so I'm just gonna turn it over to Jerry and stop rambling about nothing here. So over to you, Jerry. Maybe you got something good to talk about. W6JRY, W6MQI.
Okay, Dave. W6MQI and the group W6JRY. Well, just really good signals from everybody here this morning. I don't have an S meter on this RBM4. I can't give any comparable readings, but just seems like everybody is well over an S9 if I had an S meter, and very copyable. Low noise levels, about 58 degrees here in the shack this morning. Haven't been down here for quite a while, just due to the cold weather and other things going on. And radio-wise, not too much, other than I'm piling up a few things on the bench to repair that need some work on it. Probably be down here a little bit more as the springtime comes along and so on. Spring and summer, I get more things accomplished down here. Probably the most interesting radio thing I've done in the last couple of weeks, I guess, has been last Saturday. I have a good friend. I was talking to him and wanted to know if I'd ever been to KPH, and I said no, I've always wanted to, but I've never been there. So he said, well, I've been there 2 or 3 times. He said, I'll take you down there. So he, I got up at 4 in the morning and went down to the park and ride by 99 and Chico there. He come by and picked me up, and so we went down there. And it was just one of those trips that everything just seems to fall into place. The weather was great. The traffic was great. We got over there around Bolinas, and the weather was just gorgeous over there, and looked like springtime was coming on. And got to the transmitter site there for KPH at Bolinas, and I guess it's run by the Park Service now. I saw it as Steve when I was down there starting through things, one of the restored transmitters there. Seen Steve's name on there, and Richards, and a few other of the fellas. Some of the guys that were there doing the docent thing was from the old days, operators that were operators there and so on. And then it was a whole day affair. By the time we got up the receive site, about 15 or so miles away, up at the Round Point Rays, got the whole tour through there, and they let us sit down and at a position and operate as K6 KPH. Pick a key, whatever you want, and pick a frequency. So I got to do that, which was really fun. Calling a few CQs and some contacts there from that site. So anyway, it was a great one of the best days I'd had in quite a long time. Got to run away from home. That's as far away from Chico as I've been for about 2 or 3 years. So anyway, that's my story for this this transmission, and I'll get it over there to you, Mike, with the ART-13 and your R390. And good morning to the rest of the ones that checked in there, Chuck and Vern, and Bill, and Frank there. So anyway, over to you there, Mike, W7MS and the group W6JRY.
Well, thanks, Jerry. Maybe with a pause for possibly Bill, but no BCT at this reception site. W6JRY, W7MS. Great to hear you this morning, Jerry, and I'll comment on your KPH field day. Great on getting out and also having a perfect day, travel-wise, weather-wise, the whole thing, and possibly, not to touch on that subject, possibly some layoffs with the people who run the show there at Point Reyes. So you probably, good timing all around on that one. So congratulations. And let me see. Yeah, everybody's doing great. I'm going to leave Chuck alone. I'm not going to beat him up. He needs Carla, his voice processor. Get Carla on the mic. All problems will be resolved. But everybody's doing well. Thanks for your patience. Yeah, and it's the copper braid, tin copper braid going up to the plate leads to the RK38. And I think ultimately the problem is, if they'd only been an inch longer, you could orientate the guides a little bit better. But kind of like Henry, I don't want to get in there and change what somebody had done 80 years ago. So we'll just, if we can get some spaghetti in there, and then we'll just act like it's invisible rather than opaque, and keep it at least it's still somewhat original, but with a minor modification so that it doesn't embarrass the operator on Sunday morning. So that's the story there. And I was running it with the HRO 5TA1 to make it all correct, maybe not specifically correct for pre-war, but I think just about any HRO series to the 5 would suffice as somewhat original. And projects here, ham radio related, but I didn't quite know what I was getting involved in when my volunteer help was requested yesterday, but set up with a local amateur, basically an antenna test range. He's been tasked with characterizing 2 extremely stacked collinear VHF antennas for the manufacturer. So that was an interesting experience. Not really technical, but pretty good with an impact driver, crescent wrench, and I think we got most of the work done, that especially for my friend there who needed, he needed 4 sets of hands to get that facilitated. So he's on his way, and my gosh, it's just amazing what can happen on the local scale. Another, I was thinking, Henry, in your comments, and I've noticed generally since I've been a little deeper involved in looking over pre-war documentation, is Depression-era minimalization. you see a lot of that. It's everywhere, and some of it can be considered questionable from an operation and also from a safety standpoint for the operator, but that's the way that goes. And I think one thing it ties in is the dual plate tuning capacitor for the push-pull stage is pre-TBI because the rotor is only grounded on the back frame with the grounding fingers, and normally maybe in a post-war configuration you'd have grounding on the front shaft of that plate tuning capacitor, and that gave me some issues initially also with a floating ground on the rotor. And there's no 50% sharing on that one. Who knows what's happening on the front end from a what might have been affecting channel 2 back in the old days. But that's the setup here. Also some irony here. I mentioned the two saved from the Junkman 32B2s from the guy in Sparks. I was in there Friday, and his shipping manager was stacking some stuff out for the Junkman, and guess what's being put in the pile? Not a transmitter cabinet, but a receiver cabinet that's of course punched in the rear the same, minus probably the bracket for the interlock and also the finger block so you don't stick your fingers too far into the cabinet and possibly have an owie. But guess what? That was in the junk pile, so that went home for free. So now I've got a V2 and a cabinet, essentially. So, you know, patience prevails. So with that, over to Ron. And I think Ron gave me the whammy. He sent one my way, and then the play fuse blew. NU6F W7MS.
Okay, Mike. Well, glad to see you. You located the problem quickly. I'll tell you, while that NC600 was on, man, it was the flamethrower of Reno. I was looking at the SDR over at KPH, and you were top dog in the woodpile. You were on voice peaks, probably the voice peaks that caused the arc. Yeah, you were hitting like minus 55 dBm into that receiver, so it will be a flamethrower once it's fired up, hopefully without any local flames. Yeah, it's like, let's see, we go through stuff here. Henry, okay, on being back in the shop. Yeah, for a short stay anyhow. I guess we'll see if our temperature drops again. And the propane man is glad to see that you're that you got the Resnor fired up. And Dave, okay, on the PRC 174 clone project, I realize you got to get that finished before you know, like while your head is cut in. Get that all finished. Then you can switch over to the PR 174s you picked up and dink for those. But maybe you let me know if you already got some of that going. Jerry, boy, what a fun trip. I've often thought about, one of these days I'm going to have to just take off over there to KPH. And so, same thing. I often thought, well, it takes a little bit of a chore to rearrange things and the schedule to get there. And what about the weather? So, yeah, you hit it just right. I'm enjoying reading your Radio Intelligence Division book that you posted that link to. And I had to chuckle to myself. Radio Intelligence Division. Yeah, well, I got the radio part, not sure about the intelligence. And it's up for grabs to see if we do or not. And okay, I'm getting that back down there in the basement and firing up the radio. Well, it's kind of cool that you got that, the ART-13 came up, no smoke, and the rest was fine. Mike, yeah, I was picturing that transmitter and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, TBI, back in those days, boy, that sucker would have really engendered a lot of problems with neighbors. And okay, on that, yeah, it was a good day for working outside on antennas. Good day for... Uh-oh.
Well, I guess we'll let Ron sort out the T3 problem, and we'll go over to Steve, W6SSP. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Henry. It's going to be one of those days, I think. Oh, well. Radio gear. Part of the process, I suppose. Anyway, Jerry, good to hear you back on again. And I want to thank you, before I forget, I want to thank you for passing on the link to that book that talks about parasites and other spy radios and things. A buddy of mine is going to download that for me, and I'll get it on memory stick sooner or later. So thank you very much for that. And good to hear you finally got a tour of KPH. If I had known you were going to be there, I could have actually come out yesterday and given you the VIP tour. Not only of the current transmitters, but Building 1, which is the original Marconi building, where there were a couple of Alexanders and alternators. And then take a walk out to the coast, which is where the original antenna field was, and you can see the massive blocks of cement that were there for those old antennas. Pretty interesting. And there's all kinds of stuff. That place just oozes history. And pretty amazing that the guys keep it running. I'm glad to get to see the RCA H-set that we restored. That took 3.5 years to do. It was a major project, and one I'll probably never get to do again, but it was cool to be involved in that. Anyway, nice weather this week, so I've been spending some time out in the shop working on the meter clock. I had a prototype done quite a while ago, but now I've got about 90% of the PC board wired. It's 19 IPs, all hand wired, so very time consuming, very intricate work too, so he didn't make mistakes on it as well. I've also been considering rethinking one of the racks in the main operating position. Couple receivers in the rack, Collins 51J3 and 51J4. Think about taking the 51J3 out and putting in the ICOM 781 and ICOM R9000 to just barely fit the same spot. But looking at it, and I thought, wow, you know what would be really cool in that spot is the 7583. Match that up with the 51J4. So I'm still pondering. I don't know. I've been thinking about this for 9 months. I'll probably think about it for a lot longer before I actually do anything. The real solution would be to put up another rack on the other side of the desk, but an old Wurlitzer jukebox is in that spot. I don't have any place else to move it, so that's a problem. Lots of those kind of problems here. So let's see, I think that's about it for me. I've got a company coming over in a little while, so I'm going to say 73, and I'll pass it over to Chuck, to 0DWC, W6SSP. 73, guys.
Okay, well, this is my last go-around for today as far as the microphone goes. I'm on the same old boring D104. I switched over to the ART13, and I don't know, I'm running about 200 watts, and flipped on the SX28A and BC1031 pan adapter. So that's what I'm on now. So anyway, yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the PCS. Everything seems to run all right with it. But as far as the microphone goes, I don't have a clue. I don't know. I don't understand because, you know, one Sunday it sounds lousy, and the next 2 weeks ago it sounded great. I don't get it. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, really. But it sounds like I'm not the only one having trouble this morning, either. You know, Mike had his troubles and got back on, and now Ron. So, I don't know. Maybe it's conditions, maybe it's bad karma, who knows. But anyway, I'm here, and
I hope I'm getting out okay on this. I should be, but we'll keep it going. And let's see who. Oh, Vern. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Vern. K6VXY. It's all yours. Go ahead and take it. This is K0DWC.
Gave a brief pause there in case Bill said something. I'll turn it over to him just in case that when I'm done. This is K6VXY, and I meant to say something. I noticed that David commented on the rain, and we got a little bit going on here in Groveland. Not a lot, but it's kind of like a drizzle. But we got enough rain last night to wet all of the ground thoroughly. I didn't check the gauge. I don't think it was a lot, but it was enough to get everything wet. And I'll give a much further report hopefully next Sunday on my progress with the wonderful Marauder here. So I hope it's something simple. I got some of the OB2s coming, and I got a 6BE8 that was measuring a little low at 6AL5, and we'll see what that does. Then I got to do the resistance checks, a lot of them, with the VTVM. This is a new setup with that. The original VTVM I had from Heathkit, the IM11, had one probe, and you threw this little lever switch on the probe itself to go from AC and ohms to DC. But this one they put in, it's two separate hookups. One is the DC only, and one is AC and ohms only. It still uses the 1/4-inch jack, so that I thought that was kind of a neat safety feature. This thing will supposedly the VTVM will measure the full output of voltage on the power supply. I got a chance to check the 5U4 out and see how all that does. I'm nervous measuring anything up around 800 or 900 volts, but supposedly the Heathkit will do 1500. Oh, that's a little scary. Be very cautious. Okay, with that, I'm going to say hello to everybody again, and 73s to Steve as company, and I'm not sure if Chuck's sticking around, but 73s to you too. I'm turning it over to N6BCT just in case, and if not, it goes over to Frank, KB0W. It's K6VXY.
Go ahead and make a transmission there, Bill.
So this is on the third up here on the systems here. Everything is closed. First I have 3974 was on schedule when I first got on. And so it was finally got it over the run, so I'm here now. Anyway, everything is closed. The radio is finally got on the 3974 AM. Well, the first when I first started was 3974 digital. So that doesn't work. So anyway, that's the story here. So I guess that's the goal. I don't know.
There, Frank, KB0W, WA7YBS.
Okay, I guess that was Bill, N6BCT on Henry. This is KB0W. I'm having a hard time with the noise level here, hearing someone. Maybe, Henry, you could tell me who was transmitting between Steve and Vern, W6SST and K6VXY. He's the only one that I couldn't hear at all. But you're coming in at 20 over, and you're the strongest signal up here. So anyways, really fun being on the net this morning. And good morning to everybody. It was really a treat hearing all the new voices here. Spending most of my time in the evening on a beautiful Drake TR4 CW that I've been using on CW for 40 meters and making a million contacts there. And that's been sort of fun. And other than that, it's just doing winter stuff and trying to ski a bit. So it's been a lot of fun. Talking on, incidentally, you're on John's homebrew. I'm on John's Johnson 500. Well, it's mine, but John restored it and completely rebuilt the power supply and did some work on the transmitter itself. It sure looks pretty, and I guess it sounds okay. Anyways, it's been really a lot of fun. I appreciate it, and I'm going to stick around and listen for a little bit, but I'm going to be taking off. So I'll be saying 73 to everybody and listening out. I'm not sure who I turn it over to. I guess it's you, Henry. W7YBS, WA7YBS, excuse me, KB0W in South Lake Tahoe.
Okay, Frank. KB0W, WA7YBS. Okay, very good. 73 to Steve and to you. And you're going to be in the listening mode there, Frank. The station that was between Steve and Vern was Chuck, K0DWC. So that was who that was. And let's see. Oh, speaking of things dying, I've gone through 3 oscilloscopes this morning. My 475 Tektronix 475 that I normally use as the signal monitor, modulation monitor and stuff, it died. Then I went over to a 7000 series Tektronix that I have here in the shop, and it died after about 10 minutes. And then I got a Hewlett-Packard scope out, and it wouldn't even turn on. So yeah, we've been going through scopes like a maniac here. So I don't know, maybe I have to get one of those Chinese oscilloscopes that look like a little tablet or something. They're pretty darn cheap. So I don't know, they're awful tempting, but you know, I like seeing the actual something going on phosphorus, a real trace. But anyway, be that as it may. Let's see, Ron. Propane, we don't bother with propane. We're on natural gas here. Finally, after 50 years there of being in Nevada, not on propane. Finally, this part of Dayton Valley has natural gas, so that's very, very good. And yeah, the depression economy on manuals, I never thought about that. I thought they were just assuming that the hams knew what was going on, but that makes real sense. Why put 10 pages in the manual when you can get by with 4? And that makes a lot of sense. I can see that. I know that I was doing a Tommy Deutschmann rebuild of a receiver, and the wire, the guy who did it, actually was in the wire conservation mode. He wired everything direct point to point, didn't bother with the routing shown in the instructions or anything. I bet he had a whole coil of wire left over, because he sure didn't use much doing the receiver. Had to rewire that guy. And let's see, the RID, the Radio Intelligence Division of the FCC, and I have on the SX28 section of the website, if you go to the SX28 write-up, there is the FCC RID SX28 that I picked up a while back, and it's a very, very early one. It's the first SX28s that were made a lot of them went to the FCC for the RID, although the RID really hadn't come about just right at that time, 1940. It was a little bit later, but it was still the same idea. They did the same thing. And so anyway, I have a write-up on the RID and how they used those SX-28s in Hudson prowl cars. So got a photograph of the installation in those old Hudsons that they used. So anyway, let's do the 73 round. And Frank has signed, and Steve has signed. So everybody else is here. So let's go up to Dave and start the 73 round. W6MQI, WA7.
Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec.
What are you doing checking in at the last minute? Anyway, go ahead, Carla. Make a transmission. W4DVQ, WA7 YBS.
Okay, WA7 YBS, W4DVQ here. I just wanted to pop in and say good morning to everybody. And sorry I'm late. And I've been listening. So that's all I want to do is stop in and say hello. I'll hang out until the very end if that's okay. So back to you, Henry, WA7 YBS.
Yeah, that'll be fine. W4DVQ, WA7 YBS. And Bill's there. Bill, you'll turn it over to Carla, W4DVQ. We'll see how that goes. But good to hear you. Lots of modulation from Carla. W6MQI, go ahead, Dave.
All right, Henry, WA7YBS, W6MQI. Yeah, Chuck, you finally got your speed processor turned on. Good morning, Carla. Yeah, nice punchy audio down here in Livermore. All right, guys. Good hearing everybody, and my wife's going back to Indiana, visit the daughter. So it's just me and the dogs. So, but anyway, 73 everybody, and you guys have a good week. And Jerry, good job on going to KPH. I've always wanted to do that too. Steve had an invitation for me to go. He was going to go and give a tour, and I just couldn't pull it off. So hopefully this summer, the wife and I are going to try and plan a trip out there, and I can go out there and check that out. I've never done it myself. So it sounds like an interesting tour. So 73 everybody, over to you, Jerry. W6JRY, W6MQI.
Yes, okay. I'm fine, Dave. W6MQI and the group W6JRY. And, well, everybody's still coming in fine here. Really good copy today. And, yeah, all the different little things that happen to these old radios, and I understand that from experience and whatnot. Yeah, I highly recommend the trip to KPH, and I'd like to go back again. It's just, I mean, one day in some respects isn't even enough, so it just seemed like the day went awful fast there. Good morning to you there, Carla. Loud and clear up here in Forest Ranch. And, yeah, on that RID, I guess everybody, some of the people I sent that to bounced, the email bounced or something, so if anybody wants that, that I didn't send it to, well, just send me an email and I'll forward that on. I have one other PDF file that somebody had, can't remember who, I'd have to look again, but some friend of mine sent on the British B2 spy radio. It's the manual for the B2 spy radio, so if anybody wants that, email me. I have that, and you can get a copy. So other than that, 73 to all, very good morning, and I hope to be able to get back on in the following weeks here. Things pick up here. So, over to Mike, and let's see if everything's still intact there. W7MS and the group W6JRY. Well, that also 73s.
Okay, well, thanks, Jerry. W6JRY on the great group here, W7MS for the Nevada-style military net on antique modulation, W7MS. Before I forget, Jerry, yeah, try to send that to me. I'd like to see the RID stuff. And if you did send it, I apologize, because sometimes if it doesn't have an exciting subject line, I do a mass delete. And as I've been saying a disclaimer, I'm on so many .io groups that, I'm looking at a flat screen full of innocuous email. Sometimes the good ones get inadvertently deleted. But enough of that. Well, on the RID thing, my only comment is to comment on Henry's mention of Hudson. I had a boyhood friend in grade school, and the moms would split up, especially in the winter, routing children to school. And one of the moms had an old Hudson, and what a tank. And one thing I remember is it never really warmed up. But just about the time you got to the front door of the grade school, you were actually getting some heat. It was I wish it was in my driveway today, but at the time it was so yesterday for probably a kid who was 8 years old. But pretty cool stuff. And comments on incessant failures. Well, it's great to have a great inventory of stuff. Well, when you keep rolling through it, Henry and Ron, it's just, who knows, you may run out. But of course, with analog oscilloscopes, essentially they're all free today. And there was one in the junk pile. There were 3 of them in the junk pile for the junk man that I saw Friday. So there certainly won't be a shortage of analog phosphor CRTs, but there will come a day. But I got a feeling that's far in the future. And yeah, also Jerry, we had a nice presentation on Paraset radios at our QRP club meeting a few weeks ago, and I did mention you and some of the other folks that were in the Paraset mode. And either like our friend Mr. Miller, who has the real deal, or the folks who have actually reproduced correct period Paraset radios, let alone the ones that are Paraset based, but based on today's technology or what's available in the parts bin. So that was a good discussion. Vern, continue good luck on parts acquisition and the restoration of the Heath kit. Great. Nice to hear Bill jump in there briefly. And of course, 7-3s to the folks that have signed. Dave's going to be batching it with the dogs. Sounds like paradise to me. And also KB0W sounded good on the microphone. And I got a feeling if he's headed out, he's probably going to head out to the Heavenly Valley and make a few turns on the slopes. But with that, 7-3s from Reno, and over to my neighbor Ron, NU6F W7MS.
I guess Ron's failure on the T368. Let's see what's going on there. Ron, you have transmitting capabilities. Go ahead. Well, we'll say 73 to Ron. Over to Chuck, K0DWC. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, Henry. Wow, what a net. It's been an odd net this morning. Henry, you're going through oscilloscopes. I'm going through microphones, and poor Mike and with the NC600, and then Ron having trouble with the T3. Wow. And then getting out voiced by W4DVQ. So, boy, what a net. Interesting, but what a net. But, let's see, save my minute. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, well, I guess I'll say my 7.3s as well. Maybe I just don't talk loud enough, I guess. That could be the problem. It really could be. I'm just bewildered. That's no big deal, though. I'll get it figured out. But anyway, hey, guys, thanks, everybody, for being there. Jerry, it was good to hear you on again, and Frank, too. And everybody else, really, it was a really good net this morning, though. Just everybody had some little oopsies here and there, but good net, and thank you for being there. And I'll be your net control next weekend. And I'll talk to everybody then. So with that, I'll say my 7.3s, and you guys take care today. Have a good day and a good week ahead, and we'll talk to you next week. So with that, I guess I will turn it over to Vern. Vern, you're sounding good this morning. K6BXY. Go ahead. 7.3, guys.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. That was kind of interesting as it speaking up a little bit. You know, the audio level for Mike was low. I don't know what he did. He made a change. He said something about what he did when he had to stop transmitting on his original mode, and now he's transmitting something, but his audio level was low here. Okay, 73s to all, and I'll be, good morning to Carla, who came in as check-in number 10. That makes 11 on the net. It's pretty good. This is K6BXY, and I'll give you an update next week. Hopefully we'll find some things that are wrong with the Marauder so that I can get it going on the air. Looking at the anti-trip thing, and there's some settings you do for doing a box. Maybe I didn't have that set right. We'll see. I have this feeling that the symbol I missed. The unit itself does work, but I missed something. I guess all of those of us that have done troubleshooting, which is all of us, that thought does sneak in there now and then. So over to Bill. 23's all. N6 BCT in the group. K6 VXY.
November 6th, Bravo, Charlie, Tango. This is Whiskey 4, Delta, Victor, Quebec. Well, thanks for letting me in, guys, and 73 to all of you, and I hope you have a good week, and I'll try to not be late next week. But 73 to all, and I'll hand it up to Henry. WA7, YBS, W4, DBQ, clear.
Okay, Carla, W4DVQ, WA7, YBS. Yeah, it's really different here, Russ. It's like flying blind without a scope. I'm forced to look at the meters. Oh, man. But, well, I'll get something going for next week. Yes, like Mike says, you know, the analog scopes are free usually, so and I can see why. But anyway, thanks everybody for your participation. It's appreciated. Chuck will be net control next week. Hope to hear everybody back. And with that, everybody have a good week. And 73 all around. This is WA7 YBS, and I'll be closing the net and signing off. 73 all.
Well, thanks, Henry, and for Carla, fantastic audio. And we'll talk to you later, Chuck, W7MS.